And I certainly think about things like cast iron pans, like things that actually become more useful and even better and more valuable, like the more gunk you got on there and stuff. And
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, that's how I feel about books. Okay. All right. Well,
yeah.
we'll talk. How about we talk about your book now? So now I'll do the actual intro, which is
Okay.
to say, good morning, Christine Pountney.
Good morning,
How
Julie
are you?
Wilson.
So this is for 49th Shelf, and we're doing something called Lit Wish List, which is, of course, we want people to read as many books as possible, but we also would love for them to buy a few. And it's also an opportunity to talk to authors such as yourself and identify you as a reader outside of the work you do. Which is not to say that we're not going to talk briefly about this beautiful object, Sweet Jesus. Can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Well, it's about a family, and it's about two sisters and their adopted brother. I started writing it in 2004 when Bush was reelected, and that's kind of where it all started in a kind of political context. I just got off the internet this morning. I didn't watch the first debate last night, so I was trying to watch a bit of it this morning. Anyway, so I'm kind of steeped in that right now. But it's set against the backdrop of this current election in 2012. Um, uh, and in 2004, when Bush was reelected, I remember being on Spadina on a sidewalk and bursting into tears about the result of that election, and it was curious too to be so just to notice myself reacting politically to something political. I probably never had that kind of a reaction to anything political in my life, and it was also the first time the Christian right was really being talked about as a demographic.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a Christian household, and I always wanted to write about, write about religion. Some of my anecdotal experience with it, but also just to explore it a bit. And I felt like in that election and afterwards, there was a lot of discourse from both sides, from the liberal secular left, and opinions from the Christian right, and they had very little ability to sort of sympathize or empathize or understand the other side of the debate. And I felt like, well, I'm much more aligned with the secular left. That's me temperamentally, but I have this personal experience with, the world of Christianity.
Right.
So I thought, well, I would really like to have a book in which those two factions are not so polarized.
Right.
So I thought, well, I'll have two sisters, one who's religious, one who isn't. And I wanted to write a sympathetic and legitimate portrait of both sides, somebody with faith and somebody without. Because the other thing too is I think there was, on the liberal left side, they couldn't really speak about Christian faith without a real derision about the politics. And it was kind of like they couldn't understand, like my secular friends would have a very hard time understanding why anybody would have Christian beliefs.
Right.
So I wanted to try to paint a portrait of somebody who had Christian beliefs, and you could actually really sympathize with it and understand why, where it comes from, and set it against the backdrop of those politics, but not have that person, like my character Connie is not. She's not a Republican. She's not a right winger, but she, is a Christian. And then they have an adopted brother who's a therapeutic clown and works in palliative care with kids, and he's living with his boyfriend at the beginning of the book, and things happen in each of the lives of the three siblings that kind of pushes them together at the midway point in the book, and then they go on a trip down to this mega church in Wichita. I don't know how much more you want me to say about it.
I think that sounds fascinating. It's perfect timing too.
Yeah, the timing is great. I wish it was coming out in the States this week, but
right. Well, here I'm gonna hold this up one more time for people because let's put this at the top of the list, shall we? Of books that we would love people to read and buy going into the season. And now switching hats a little bit. Actually, can I ask you?